Hey, happy Monday. I'm a little twisted. There we go. All right, guys, happy Monday. If you were not with me for the 9 o'clock training, welcome. Happy New Year. It's been a while. It's been since before the holidays, so I hope everyone had a decent holiday, despite all the chaos and craziness that has been going on. Excuse me, not COVID. Does anyone else feel like that? Like when you're out in public or you're with someone and you cough, you just have to be like, swear it's not COVID. Like, I promise. So I'm, as always, going to give everyone a few minutes to get on. We are on a tight time crunch day and there's so much to talk about. So I will get through as much as I can. If there's any questions, we might, I don't know, we'll see, because I have a 10 o'clock call. So, and a 10:30 call. So we are going to just jump right in. I just said I was going to give everyone a few minutes to get on and I lied. I'm just going to jump in so we don't run out of time. All right, guys, so we finally got our stimulus bill, right? We finally got something passed and we are actually, things are happening. Things are actually happening. Let's talk about the stimulus payments of $600 per taxpayer and qualifying child. I got mine already, so check your bank account. Just like the last stimulus, you guys, if you don't get it, I think it's going to be treated like a credit, right? So with the original stimulus, we still have a lot of people who didn't get that original one back in April. Is that when it was? And what happened is if you did not get the stimulus check, but you qualified for it, because there were income limits and whatnot, if you did not receive it, but you qualified for it, when you file your 2020 return, there'll be a place for that. All right. So what's going to happen is on the 2020 tax return, there's going to be, and now I'm guessing the 2021 tax return for this new stimulus, there's going to be a form and it said there'll be a calculation to see what you qualified for. So, $2,400, it's going to ask how much you received, $2,400. Therefore, your remaining credit to be paid is $0. If you didn't get the stimulus payment, right, then qualify for $2,400. What did you receive? $0. So then on your tax return, you get $2,400. All right. So now, but because the stimulus, these payments aren't going out till, I don't know when you guys got yours. I got mine, I think on January 3rd. Like it happened decently fast. So Wendy says it's a refund credit. Already did my first return. I show it in action. Awesome. So I have not even started thinking about tax returns yet. We have things come in, but anyway, so that is the stimulus payment. So anyway, so more stimulus money coming your way if it hasn't already for this second stimulus bill. If you hear a vacuum, that is indeed a vacuum. The copy guy is fixing our copy machine, so I'm sorry. And then the stimulus does phase out for taxpayers earning more than $75,000, so single, which I believe is lower than it was for the first stimulus payments. And then there's additional unemployment, you guys. It's back. Additional unemployment benefits of $300 a week. So back in April, I think we got $600 a week in additional federal funding, and now we're getting $300. Not we, I'm working, if you're unemployed. So if you guys have questions about the stimulus and the unemployment, shoot them. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep going. I want to hit the highlights. Next week, we can go into a little more detail and depth on some of the more obscure stuff, but I want to hit the good things this week. So PPP, EIDL, good things here, you guys. So let's start with those of you, excuse me. Real quick, before I move on, Wendy says, if stimulus came in 12/30, but bank held it until 1/4, is it a 2020 money or 2021? The IRS is probably going to report, because I'm guessing there's going to be a reporting form. Maybe there's not going to be a reporting form. I don't know. But I would say the IRS paid it out in 2020. So even though the bank held it, technically it was yours. So I think it's a 2020 payment. Great question. But I don't know if the 2020 forms are going to, I don't know how specific they are. I haven't looked at them yet. So they might specify stimulus one versus stimulus two. I'm not sure yet, Wendy. We'll have to see how things get updated. Great question though. Okay, so PPP. So if you got PPP back in 2020, back anytime between April and I think August or maybe July when they stopped offering it, you got that first PPP loan. Great news. It is not taxable, and the expenses you spent the PPP funds on are completely deductible. Okay, not going to go through all the spiel of why this is so exciting, but it is. The original CARES Act wanted this money to be tax-free to business owners, which is not usually the case. You guys, usually when you get grants, it's taxable income to your business. The CARES Act specifically said we do not want this to be taxable. The IRS effed that up, but now the new act has come back and said no. The PPP forgivable portion is not income, and you can still expect or deduct the expenses you spent the money on. So in effect, there is no taxable consequences to your forgiven PPP funds. High five for that, because that was going to be such a mess and more money out of your pocket. I was thinking, like, from a tax preparing point of view, hot mess avoided, crisis avoided. It's great. There is going to be simplification of the loan forgiveness application for loans less than $150,000. So if you have not yet filed for forgiveness and your loan is under $150,000 and you're not coming up on your deadline, which nobody should be until at least April, I would hold off until this new loan forgiveness application comes out. So again, first PPP loan under $150, new streamlined application coming out. So wait for it. There will be a second round of PPP funds. So two groups here, okay? And it's important because this things have already started rolling out, okay? So if you never got a first round, you can get a first round now. And small banks should be opening up as early as today, the 11th. So if you are going to request your first PPP loan, you did not get one last year, but you need one now, or you're ready to apply for one now, check with your bank, check with your local bank. If you're with a bigger bank, Wells Fargo, Chase, Bank of America, who am I missing? Those ones, probably not yet. But if you're with a credit union or a local or regional bank, check with them, because today is the day that the SBA said smaller banks will be able to start accepting applications for first-time PPP borrowers. Okay? If you're looking for a second round of PPP, you already had the first round, but you need to apply for a second round, okay? That could open as early as this Wednesday, the 13th. So again, check with your banks. Hopefully you're with a small regional bank. Whoever you did your first PPP loan with was great and you get to use them again. Great. I know a lot of you guys out there used like Bluevine and PayPal. They're probably not going to be considered small, so you are probably going to have to wait a little bit. Okay. But if you are with a smaller bank, you could be getting that second round of PPP going as soon as Wednesday. And then with that second round, and then I'll get to your question, April, with that second round, you guys, you do have to qualify for this loan. So in order to get a second PPP, you have to prove that in either a quarter of 2020 compared to 2019, or your 2020 as a whole year compared to 2019 as a whole year. When you compare those two, that you have to show a 25% decrease in gross revenue, in receipts. Okay, you have to show a 25% decrease. What's weird is that you do not have to show this. You don't have to prove it when you first apply for the loan, but you are going to have to prove it in order to get the loan forgiven. Okay, so do I see some problems here? Maybe, but make sure that you can prove a 25% decrease in gross receipts, either quarter of 2020 over the same quarter in 2019 or in the year as a whole. Okay, because even though you don't have to prove it to get the money, you're going to have to prove it to get forgiveness. And I will, so April says, hey, Bree, those that are doing first round now, do they still need to meet the 150,000 threshold to not need backup, or is that second round only? I don't know. And Jamie and I were talking about this because we both, it's just not, it's vague the way it's written. And we can interpret it both ways. So I'm trying not to bother this week because it's launch week. But I do want to see if anyone else, we have a little group of 4 CPAs who are all all wrapped up in this PPP stimulus stuff, trying to unwrap it for y'all. So I will check in with them today. As of last week, we were still not bickering over it because we weren't in disagreement. We were still annoyed with how it was written because we couldn't tell. But what April is referring to, do they still meet the 150,000 threshold to not need backup? So what April's referring to here, you guys, is what I said is in the simplified loan forgiveness application. So what that means is right now, if you were to apply for forgiveness for a loan, there is an easier application, but you still have to supply the backup. You still have to supply the payroll reports. You still have to prove that you spent the money the way you did. Part of the simplification for forgiveness loans less than $150,000 that just passed is saying you don't have to. You have to keep it in case they audit you, okay? But you don't have to submit it. So that makes it a little easier, right? Okay, so let's see. Moving on to the EIDL, they're kind of mushed together, PPP and EIDL. But the EIDL Advance, you guys, is also going to be non-taxable. That was one we were not sure of, but it's going to be non-taxable to your business, and you'll be able to deduct those expenses that you spent the EIDL Advanced funds on. So yay. Again, remember, there is an EIDL loan and there is an EIDL Advance. The Advance was the free money, the grant. It was $1,000 per employee, $1,000 if you're sole prop, up to $10,000. Okay, and so that is the Advance, and that is the part that is now forgivable. So it's just like your forgivable PPP. It's not taxable. That's what I meant to say, non-taxable. Okay, my favorite part of the bill, although you can tell I like a lot of it, I've been really excited, but my favorite part of the bill is that if you received both the EIDL Advance and you get your PPP forgiven for whatever amount, whether it's fully forgiven or portion forgiven, you no longer have to subtract the EIDL Advance from the forgivable portion of your PPP. This is so great because they originally said that, so originally, if I got a $10,000 advance, right, and then I got a $100,000 PPP, and I spent the whole $100,000, it was forgiven, good, great, 100% forgivable, they were still going to subtract that $10,000 EIDL advance, and I was going to have to pay that back, okay? And in their minds, the reason they did that is because they were like, oh, you're double dipping, but they realized, I think they came to realize, especially after they extended the covered period on PPP loans from the 8 weeks to the 24 weeks, that you can easily spend that advance money and that PPP money on completely different things. So yay for that part. That is so awesome. It's awesome for you guys because now you don't have to worry about holding $1,000 loan, because that's what's going to be happening with most of you, especially you sole props. It was going to be $1,000 loan that you had to either pay back really fast with minimal interest, or you're going to have to hold it, for the term of the loan and pay it back. So gross, right? So that part is gone. Hallelujah. And then they expanded your approved PPP expenses. So if you remember originally, you still have to spend at least 60% on payroll. That has not changed, which if you think about it, you're getting 2.5 months worth of payroll and you have 6 months to spend it. Okay. So unless there's something weird going on, and there are some instances where you aren't going to spend it all on payroll, and those instances exist. But if you have employees, if you're paying employee payroll, then you have 6 months to spend 2.5 months worth of money, right? You should be able to spend a good majority on payroll, right? 60% should be easy to satisfy. But if you still have money left, that you don't spend on payroll that you need to spend. You used to have to spend it on, let's see if I can remember this, rent, business utilities, business mortgage interest, or business debt interest. Now they've expanded it. They've expanded it to include PPE, if you have to, add a drive-through, among other expenses. And they've really, you can pay for software because your employees have to work remotely. We were at Jamie Troll, who's not here. She's launching her program this week. Big shout out to her. But we were talking about it, and it's basically, you could probably justify most of your operating expenses, at least your cost of goods, and under this new expanded PPP approved expenses. So great job there too. Great news. So those are all the highlights. Those are the highlights of the PPP and the EIDL. Wendy Cooper asked, which form when you're an employee over 100,000 in income? Will you ask, sorry, I'm reading this like 4 different ways, and I don't want to answer 4 different questions because I know you only want one answer. So if you can ask that just in a different way, I'm happy to answer it. Which form when you've an employee over $100,000 in income? So, and there's a lot of moving pieces there because yes, but ask if you can ask it a little more specific. So I'm answering just one question instead of the 4 or 5 now in my head. I'm happy to. Otherwise, you can DM me and we can chat offline as well. So the next step I want to talk about, you guys, there's just a few more really little ones. So current SBA loans. There are a number of you out there that have existing SBA loans from before pandemic happened, right? Well, when the CARES Act was passed, the SBA paid our loans for 6 months, right? They made our SBA loan payments for 6 months. The new stimulus, I keep calling it the stimulus package, but it has a really long, stupid name. So we're just going to go with it. So the new stimulus, the December package, includes the SBA will pay your SBA loan for 3 months, and they'll start that in February. There are certain specific harder hit industries that can qualify for an additional 5 months of loan payment. All right, we're talking like events and restaurants, I can't remember, but events and venues. Those types of places can get an additional 5 months of loan payments. And again, this is on your just regular 7A SBA loans, okay? That they have nothing to do with COVID or pandemic or emergency disaster or anything. These are just our normal, I wanted to buy a business SBA loan that were in existence before COVID ever happened. So yay for 3 months of SBA paid loan payments. And the last thing I want to chat about, not COVID, is loan forbearance and the eviction moratorium, because I've gotten some questions on this too. So there was no student loan forbearance in this bill. So the CARES Act, I believe, had student loan forbearance through January 31st, maybe. I feel like it was either December or January, and for some reason, I might be confusing that, but December or January, and they did not extend that. So we got to start paying your student loans again. And there is a 1 month extension of the eviction moratorium. Yes. So they were both student loan and the eviction moratorium expired December 31st. They did not extend the student loans. The eviction moratorium, they extended to January 31st. So that's important to those of you who are investors, landlords, managers, okay? Or those of you that are renting and can't afford rent. They cannot kick you out, okay? So, all right. So that's that. We've got just a few more minutes. I do have to cut out of here like in about 3 minutes because I got to get ready for my next call. It's a busy day for me today. Oh, so when he says I have an employee that makes over 100,000 per year. So I guess, but I still don't understand your question. So are you asking which forgiveness application you complete? Because there's a list of criteria. And I thought I have a chart that shows the 3 different loans and the 3 different forgiveness applications that currently exist, the S, the easy, and the regular. And it's like a chart of like which one you need to fill out. So I will find that and I will post it here because I think that will answer your question. All right, cool, you guys. So again, those are the highlights. If you guys have any other questions about stimulus, about the new laws, when they go into play, let me know. Again, I think the biggest thing I think here in terms of time is remembering that those PPP loans, you could be applying for them today if you're a first-time borrower. You can apply for them as early as Wednesday if you're going for your second round. Okay, if your bank allows. Okay, and that's where, I don't know. So we'll see how fast banks get this going. So, all right, cool, you guys. Again, welcome back. Happy New Year. I'm glad to be back here with you guys. I will see you guys next week, 9 o'clock Mountain Standard Time for our weekly training. I tell you what we're working on next week, but I can't remember. And next week, 9:30 Mountain Standard Time for Q&A and updates. And we can dig into these, the new bill a little more if you guys want. We can talk about wrapping up your books, year end to get ready for taxes. Whatever questions you have, bring them next week. And I will see you guys next week. Have a great one, you guys. Bye.